I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Jeff Charles, Sarah Calgill, Tim Donner, and Andrew Moran. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. It didn't take long for Mr. Biden to executive order the Keystone XL Pipeline out of existence. Thousands of oil and gas workers lost their jobs with the stroke of a pen. Unions are hopping mad, and we're wondering, do people understand how we heat our homes, get to work, get our kids to school? Is this ban on fossil fuels going to destroy more middle-class families? That is the question. What do you say, Andrew? Do Democrats have any idea the number of petroleum products now slated to simply disappear?
Well, I think they do, because if you look at insecticides, fertilizers, and deodorants, they're made with oil. They're made with fossil fuels. And when you're a chief creature in the swamp, it's understandable why you want to get rid of some of these products, So, but in all seriousness, I think they don't realize the damage that they're going to inflict on the United States economy, especially in the post-coronavirus recovery, by targeting oil and gas the way they were doing. I mean, getting rid of the Keystone Pipeline, that's going to get rid of at least 11,000 jobs, according to TC Energy. If you want to use the argument of climate change, if you look at the emissions data, U.S. emissions are at a 30-year low, and this is outside of the Paris Accord. The countries that are part of a Paris Accord, they've actually increased their emissions. So the climate change argument is flimsy as best. And now that the whole world is transitioning to natural gas, the U.S. is going to miss out on this huge billion-dollar opportunity. Russia has a vast reservoir of natural gas. Canada, they have a $13 billion natural gas industry. Saudi Arabia is investing in natural gas, so they're going to become a huge player. The whole world is transitioning from oil to natural gas, and by targeting this industry, the U.S. is going to lose out on a huge market. Right now, the U.S. is energy independent, and it's able to become a net exporter in fossil fuels, natural gas, and all that stuff. So by Biden doing this, you're going to miss out on massive job creation. And I think another thing that's important to point out too is that if you, because right now with the executive orders, they target new permits. Right now, there's enough permits going around that's going to have enough output for another couple of years. But after that, there's going to be less supply in the market when the demand recovers. So you're going to have, the cost of things are going to increase. So you have the inflationary aspect too. So the cost of living is going to go up when you start reining in oil and gas, and when the energy markets recover.
But let's face it, Andrew, with John Kerry flying around, emissions are bound to go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I can tell you this, and for those of you who don't know, I went to school and graduated high school in the Four Corners area, and it's all oil and gas. That's what makes the state of New Mexico's economy. And they're completely losing their minds. Guess where most of those jobs came from? The whacking of the jobs. New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and my mailbox has simply filled up with everybody I know going, what the heck? What can we do about this? And I don't see any way out of it. I don't.
But the most underrated element of the Trump presidency, which he didn't talk about enough and others didn't, was that we actually achieved energy independence. Think about how long we sought energy independence. Think about all the politicians that promised that we'll become energy independent. Well, Donald Trump actually did it, and he didn't do it with wind power and the sun. He did it with fossil fuels, and he brought the price. Consequently, the price comes down. When we have energy independence and are not dependent on foreign oil and OPEC in the Middle East, and we don't have to send our kids into foreign wars for the sake of oil anymore, this is of metaphysical significance to the United States. So the idea that we're now going to pull back from becoming 100% energy independent for the sake of what? For non-fossil fuels, for renewable energies that will drive people's energy costs through the roof. People want cheap, affordable energy, period.
I think every election since I've been able to vote, it was all about, we have to become energy independent. We have to become energy independent. So we finally become energy independent. And the very next president that comes along does stuff to stop us from becoming energy independent. I don't get it.
Well, that's because they were just kidding when they said that. That was a joke. We didn't get the joke.
Just sounded good.
I mean, the globalists. I mean, if you're a globalist, you don't really care about us being energy independent. You want us more entangled with other nations. So it makes sense that you would roll back some of those things, even if it puts people out of work, even if it makes things more expensive for everyday Americans. This stuff isn't going to touch the elite, the globalists, so they don't care. And didn't one of Biden's advisors say that even if we got our emissions down to zero, it wouldn't really even make a difference because of what other countries are doing? I mean,
exactly.
U.S. is about 70% of the world emissions.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again, Andrew?
Oh, the United States, they represent about 17% of the world's emissions, and as I said earlier, if you look at the actual emissions data, all these countries that are part of the Paris Climate Accord, their emissions are going up. So, the United States is negligible. And one other thing too, I know maybe, we shouldn't talk about this, but former President Barack Obama, he actually helped with the whole energy dependence thing by lifting the ban on foreign exports and allowing some offshore drilling too. So I think Obama should, in all fairness, get some credit too, even though, he paid lip service to the whole, climate change, globalist and tree hugger movement.
And now there's 195 countries in the world. What if we're the only ones who want to live by the strict standards that the left wants? The people in the environmental, well, you could call it the environmental extremist movement or the environmental activist movement. What about the other 194 countries? If we by ourselves reduce our carbon footprint and nobody else does, what difference is it going to make? And the left admitted long ago, in the early part of this century, when Al Gore was, had lost the election, had kind of lost his mind with the whole hockey stick thing and global warming and everything. But they admitted that remember the Kyoto Protocol? They admitted that even if we were to accept it and embrace it, which we didn't, that you'd need 30 or 40 more Kyoto protocols to even make a dent in climate change because, hey, headline news, we can't affect the weather.
But it's also important to note, though, and to remember that, and I can't remember if it was Corbin Trend or Saikat Chakrabarty, former AOC staffers, talking about the Green New Deal and saying, this isn't really about the environment. This is only partly about the environment. They're pushing this stuff because they actually want to impose more Marxist policies. And if you look at the Green New Deal, that's exactly what it is. A lot of what was in that document had nothing to do with the environment. It's why they even try to bring racism into it and saying that environmental racism is a thing. They're trying to push an agenda that really doesn't have as much to do with the environment, but they're using the banner of climate change to push that agenda. So I think that we also have to focus on that as well, because they're doing a sleight of hand on the American public. And I think it's important that we keep calling that out.
There was actually a congressional testimony from, I think it was one of AOC's former, AOC was questioning a so-called expert, and he was saying how, pollution is part of white privilege and it's white people's fault. Mm-hmm. Have you looked at India? Have you looked at China? It's not completely white people, polluting the planet or, polluting the waters.
Oh, they just have tans. They're all white.
We didn't do it. Dang it.
Come on.
Well, yeah. Sarah, I was talking to you the other day and you're like, well, what do they think tractors run on? Well, geez, I didn't know tractors ran on natural gas, and I wonder if how many people know the denture adhesive, candles, movie film, glasses, all these things,
You cannot drive a jet airplane with a windmill.
No.
Or the sun. You can't.
You can't fire up a combine unless you've got fuel. I mean, you can't plug it in and let it go. It doesn't work that way. It's too much.
And because
get over it.
Because these renewable energies are not reliable, they have to back up all of them with fossil fuel. So yep. you can't rely strictly on wind or solar or biofuels. You have to have you have to have fossil fuels, and that's a dirty little secret. You can't just get rid of fossil fuels because so much of society would cease to function without them. But they don't want to tell you that. They want to make it seem like, we can do all the same things with clean renewable energy.
Okay, we're running out of time. Final word from our economics correspondent, Andrew Moran.
Well, I think another thing too, when you look at the renewable energy market, it's going to make the economy less efficient. The reason why is because to create the same amount of power as a little clump of coal would with solar energy requires 89 employees. Now, the left thinks this is a great idea because it creates more jobs. At the same time, it's going to raise the prices of energy. So it's not efficient right now. And I agree that green energy costs are gradually coming down, but not to the extent of how cheap it is, how cheap oil and natural gas are right now.
Well, perhaps in 4 years, a new executive order will replace this one if we all survive that long without basketballs, denture adhesive, and Scotch tape. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all our TV productions. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember to surf on over to libertynation.com. Sign up for our new member zone, just $17.76 for the year. And remember, liberty all the time and everywhere.